Hey everybody, I'm H and welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about airplane etiquette. Welcome to Mile High Madness, where we uncover the craziest things you should absolutely avoid doing on an airplane. We've all been there, stuck on a long flight, and suddenly the guy next to you decides it's a good time to clip his toenails. Look, we get it. Flying can be stressful, but that's no excuse for turning into a monster at 30,000 feet. So buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride. We're diving deep into the most outrageous airplane behavior you should never ever attempt. All right, let's address the elephant, or should I say the giraffe, in the room standing up during turbulence. You see that little sign that says fasten seatbelt, and you think, now's my chance to practice my interpretive dance. Newsflash: turbulence can hit suddenly and with the force of 1,000 grumpy toddlers. One minute you're reaching for your in-flight pretzels, the next you're doing an unplanned headstand in the aisle. Unsecured passengers can become projectiles, injuring themselves and others. So next time the plane starts doing the jitterbug, stay seated, buckle up, and maybe order a stiff drink. You know those little lights above your seat? The ones that tell you to fasten your seatbelt? Yeah, those aren't just decorative. They're there for a reason, and that reason is to keep your precious behind safely planted in your seat. So do yourself and everyone else a favor. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's not just a good idea, it's the law. We've all been there, packing in a rush, tossing things in our bags like we're playing a game of luggage Tetris. But before you zip up that suitcase and head for the airport, let's talk about what not to bring on an airplane. First up, explosives. Seems obvious, right? But you'd be surprised how many people try to sneak fireworks, firecrackers, or even those weird exploding golf balls onto a plane. Next, we've got weapons. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Jimmy, I need my samurai sword for self-defense. No, you don't. And finally, no hazardous materials. This includes things like flammable liquids, corrosive chemicals, and anything that could potentially turn the cabin into a scene from a disaster movie. All right, let's talk about everyone's favorite in-flight activity, drinking. Just kidding. Look, I enjoy a good mini bottle of vodka as much as the next guy, but there's a fine line between having a relaxing drink and turning into a belligerent mess at 30,000 feet. One minute you're sipping a Bloody Mary, feeling all sophisticated. The next minute you're doing the Macarena in the aisle, much to the horror of your fellow passengers. We live in a world ruled by technology. Our phones are practically glued to our hands, and the thought of being disconnected for even a few minutes can send some people into a tailspin. But there's a time and a place for everything, and that time is not during takeoff or landing. While the jury is still out on whether or not your phone can actually bring down a plane, there's always a chance that electronic devices could interfere with the aircraft's navigation and communication system. So do everyone a favor and put down the phone, tablet, laptop, or whatever other gadget you're glued to. Let's be real, folks. Flight attendants have a tough job. They're crammed into a tiny space with hundreds of passengers dealing with everything from crying babies to spilled drinks to people who think it's okay to clip their toenails in public. Spoiler alert, it's not. So the least we can do is treat them with the respect they deserve. Remember, flight attendants are there for your safety, not to cater to your every whim. Picture this. You're finally settling into your seat, ready to zone out with a good book or catch some shut-eye. But just as you're drifting off, you feel a sharp jab in the ribs. You open your eyes to find the person next to you using your armrest as a pillow, their legs sprawled out into your personal space. Look, I get it. Airplanes are cramped, and we're all just trying to survive the flight. But there's a special place in travel hell for people who treat the aisle like their own personal obstacle course. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Jimmy, not the safety briefing. I've heard it a million times. But before you tune out those flight attendants and their life vest demonstrations, let me ask you this. If an emergency were to happen, would you actually know what to do? I'm not talking about a bumpy landing or a little turbulence. I'm talking about a worst-case scenario, the kind of stuff they make movies about. Now, I'm not trying to scare anyone, but the reality is emergencies can happen, and when they do, you need to be prepared. So next time you're on a plane, do yourself a favor and pay attention to the safety briefing. The overhead bin, that magical space above our heads where we try to cram all of our worldly possessions. It's a delicate ecosystem, a carefully orchestrated balancing act of luggage, coats, and questionable duty-free purchases. But there's a right way and a wrong way to navigate this aerial storage unit, and shoving your oversized suitcase into the bin like you're playing a game of Tetris is definitely the wrong way. All right, let's talk about something that should go without saying, but apparently needs to be addressed: shoes. More specifically, the act of removing your shoes on an airplane. I'm not talking about slipping off your loafers to get comfortable. I'm talking about full-on barefoot and fancy free-foot exposure. Look, I get it, airplanes can be stuffy and your feet might be tired from walking through the airport, but here's the thing, airplanes are essentially flying petri dishes. So do everyone a favor and keep your shoes on. The reclining seat, a source of constant debate and controversy in the world of air travel. To recline or not to recline, that is the question. And it's a question with no easy answer, so what's the solution? Communication and consideration. Let's be real, airplane food isn't exactly known for its gourmet quality, but hey, it's free, or at least included in the price of your ticket. And sometimes it's the only thing standing between you and a rumbling stomach. But there's a big difference between bringing a few snacks to tide you over and unpacking a full-on feast that would make Guy Fieri blush. And there's an even bigger difference between bringing food that's, shall we say, aromatically challenging. We're living in a different world now, a world where masks are the new normal and air travel comes with a whole new set of rules. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jimmy, not this again. I'm so over wearing a mask. Masks can be uncomfortable, they can fog up your glasses, and they can make it hard to understand what people are saying. But here's the thing, masks are essential for preventing the spread of COVID-19, and that's especially true in confined spaces like airplanes. The airplane bathroom, that tiny, cramped, and often questionable space where we're forced to take care of business at 30,000 feet. It's a necessary evil, a rite of passage for any air traveler. But while we all have to use the airplane bathroom at some point, there are certain unspoken rules of etiquette that should be followed. First and foremost, be respectful of other people's time. Airplane bathrooms are a precious commodity. Let's talk about something that should go without saying, but apparently needs to be addressed, personal hygiene. More specifically, the importance of maintaining some semblance of cleanliness when you're crammed into a metal tube with hundreds of other people for hours on end. Now, I'm not expecting anyone to break out the shower gel and loofah in the middle of a flight, but there are some basic hygiene practices that should be non-negotiable, even at 30,000 feet. Thanks for joining us on this journey through Mile High Madness. We've explored the depths of airplane etiquette, from the importance of wearing shoes to the perils of overhead bin Tetris. Remember, a little consideration goes a long way in making everyone's flight experience better. So, next time you're soaring through the skies, channel your inner etiquette expert and avoid these cringeworthy acts at all costs. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more travel tips and documentaries. Until next time, happy travels.